So we're starting the VIB Virtual Event, and today we're really lucky because we are joined by industry leading specialists. And I've had the pleasure of chatting to them. I know you're going to love it. You are going to get all the insider knowledge on all things skincare, makeup tips, treatments as your skin evolves. And it's really exciting. So without further ado, I want to introduce you to our panelists who are going to help you achieve that perfect harmony between your skincare and your makeup. So, and for those of you who don't know me, I might just quickly introduce myself. My name is Marie Thill. I am a media personality, commentator, former Miss Universe Australia, and I actually got my start in beauty. So it's a privilege to be here and share the space with these panelists. So first up, I'm just going to introduce, because I see Ella and Caitlin's beautiful faces over there. We have Ella and Katelin of Cosmechix. So they are the founders of a beauty platform that really educates millennials on all things cosmetic enhancements, skincare, and beauty through conversations with beauty experts. But more recently, and I think they're there now, they've actually founded a beauty startup called Fayshell, which is awesome. It's about making, skincare and facials and treatments accessible. And I'm really excited for you to get to hear from them. We also have Terri Vinson. Terri, if you are on the call, I would love if you could put your camera on and have your mic up. Terri is incredible. She is the author of Skinformation. It's a clean science guide to beautiful skin. She's a skin scientist and founder of leading Australian brand Synergie Skin. So she's an internationally renowned cosmetic chemist and educator, and she's coined the term clean science, which you will hear a lot about. I'm excited for you to hear about that. Then we have Rae Morris, who's a best-selling author and a makeup artist. I'm sure you've seen her work. And she's known as one of Australia's most influential makeup artists and across the globe. So we're very privileged to be with her. She's a best-selling author, but also a four-time Australian Makeup Artist of the Year. So without further ado, I think we're going to jump right in. And I'm going to open with the first panel discussion. And here we're going to be talking about skincare evolution. I might start with the beautiful Katelin and Ella then. So we've got Katelin and Ella of Cosmechix, and I guess I would love to get your opinion because I know you've talked to over, 100 industry experts, so I know you've got the 411. Tell me, what or how have clinical skin treatments evolved over the last 10 years?
So the biggest thing that we've noticed is really this shift in both the surgical and non-surgical space towards being more natural. Whereas probably like 10 years ago, you were seeing a lot more people like going after the fillers and lots of anti-wrinkle and stuff. We've really seen the shift towards the more natural approach and people actually starting to work more with what they've got and more with the skin than actually going to the more invasive treatments. So in particular, people are getting like lots of collagen stimulation treatments. So we've really seen like skin needling, PDO monothreads, skin booster, all this stuff really take off. And each of those treatments is really about naturally enhancing and the collagen that you've already got. And we've also seen the muscle stimulation category really take off. So people are getting into like the gua sha and the like facial massages to naturally lift the face and give you like volume. And I think something that's really interesting and quite exciting is that the move towards sun protection and people actually wearing sunscreen and being really conscious that, not only could you do risk melanomas and stuff, but it's actually the quickest thing to age you having sun exposure. So it's really good to see a lot of rhetoric in the media and stuff pushing that, and certainly seeing at a more like wider level people wearing sunscreen every day and being super conscious of that.
And you know what, it really is that knowledge is power. And when it comes to sun protection and taking care of your skin, you're right, the conversation in the media is different now, and I really appreciate that because I think health comes first. And so with all this in mind, you've talked about how now we're shifting towards a more natural, people want to enhance what they've already got, and they don't want to be using things that are artificial or invasive. So with that in mind, what do you think the most popular treatments are now in your experience?
Yeah, that's a great question, Maria. So we've been very fortunate to be in a position for the last 3 years where we've been guinea pigs for nearly every treatment. So we can safely say we have tried it all, and we've really got to understand what is really popular and what our audience have been really curious about or wanted to know more on. So particularly just continuing from what Ella said, it is those treatments that really do more enhance what you've already got.
I listened to a seminar.
Hi everyone, can we turn our mics off, please? Thank you.
No, thank you. So yeah, it is just using treatments that kind of enhance what you've got. So looking at treatments that increase your own collagen production. Particularly what we've seen take off in the last couple of years has been which is an incredible treatment, which is, for those of you who aren't aware, it basically uses microneedles to create trauma in your skin and create a healing response. So it's really using your body to create its own collagen. But why it's really exciting is because it can target a whole range of concerns, whether it be pigmentation, acne scarring, fine lines and wrinkles, even just improving the tone and texture of your skin. It's really a treatment that is suitable for so many candidates. So we see a lot of our clients come in actually requesting to have this treatment done. We then also found that another really popular treatment that did really well when we were educating on our podcast was HIFU. And HIFU is another treatment that stimulates your own collagen production. And essentially it's doing that through using ultrasound technology. So what it does is it tones, it sculpts, it lifts the face, and they're relating it to being a non-invasive facelift. So to categorize those two treatments together, we're really seeing this move more towards treatments that have little to no downtime, create instant results, and are working with your body's natural collagen production.
Amazing. And you know what, we are living in that instant gratification culture, so it does make sense that people want results and they want to be okay now. So I do get that. Now we are joined by Terri and Rae. Welcome. Now I am going to throw it. You missed your beautiful introduction. I promise it was nothing but warm words. So I'm going to throw it to Terri. Now, Terri, you are a phenomenal woman. You know your stuff. You do. So I want to open with a question about, talking about the visible signs as our skin is maturing. What's happening inside the skin as that goes on?
Well, firstly, I want to start by saying that maturing is a gift that we should all embrace. And I'm loving the fact that I'm getting older and embracing that. But I do want to maintain my best self. So I think one of the ways we can look as youthful as possible is looking at the ways that we do mature. For example, we produce less collagen, we produce less elastin, we produce less hyaluronic acid. The melanin in our skin is deposited in an uneven fashion, therefore we get those uneven skin tone issues. And there's less water retention, so we're losing more water. And of course there's hormonal changes, which many of us are aware of. So I think we're looking at a few issues, and then there's also glycation, and glycation is a very common problem and things that it's a part of aging or maturing that we look at now, where the sugar in our diet and the sugars that we eat actually links onto the collagen molecules in our skin. And instead of the collagen being beautiful and supple, it becomes almost like a cornflake. And we get that sort of, it's called advanced glycation aging. And we see that sort of crisscrossy wrinkling on the side of our face, and that's a sign of glycation. So that's something else that we can address with our skincare.
And I'm thinking of that as I think of the coffee I had with extra vanilla syrup this morning. And
monk fruit and
loving that for me.
2 words, monk fruit and stevia, Maria.
So I guess then, how do collagen, elastin, and hyaluronic acid help contribute to youthful skin? And I just want to say on your point, when we talk about youthful skin and best skin, like you said, aging is a gift. But it is also important to want to take care of your best self as your skin transitions. So how do those factors, collagen, elastin, and hyaluronic acid, contribute to that?
Okay, so I love my analogies. Everybody who knows me knows that. So firstly, I think if you think of a mattress, the collagen is like the stuffing in the mattress. It gives the skin integrity, it gives it that lovely firmness. So you can have a sunken mattress, you can have a nice firm mattress. So that's your collagen. The elastin is like the springs in the mattress. So if I, as somebody who's maturing, if I do that to my hand, the skin often stays in a little mound for a millisecond. Young skin doesn't do that. That's because of the elastin in your skin. The other thing is hyaluronic acid. That would be like if you had a waterbed and you filled it with water, that's your hyaluronic acid. So hyaluronic acid resides in the very deeper layers of our skin, and that's responsible for holding moisture. In fact, 1 molecule of hyaluronic acid can bind 1,000 molecules of water, which is, it always amazes me. So it's like this massive water magnet. Interestingly, I use hyaluronic acid in my skincare formulations, but I think there's a lot of misinformation around it, particularly about collagen and hyaluronic acid. Both of those are massive molecules. They do not penetrate the skin surface. I use hyaluronic acid in most of my formulations to sit on the surface of the skin and bind moisture and give that lovely luminosity from the outside. But there's only one type of hyaluronic acid that gets into the dermis, or 2 types actually, and that's hydrolyzed, which is quite hard to get, and injectable hyaluronic acid, which is your fillers. Yeah.
And then what are your thoughts on collagen supplements?
Oh my God, Maria, don't get me started. Okay.
I'm just asking the questions of the people. I promise it's not from me. I'm just the voice of the
people. No. Oh, look, I'm passionate about this. And look, I know I'm considered a bit of a maverick sometimes in this industry. However, I'm here to give you the good all on collagen supplements. Digestion 101 is when you eat protein, aka collagen, massive molecule. Think of it as something the size of a massive Fitball, right? If you try to stick a Fitball through your skin, it's not going to work, because you have to break down that collagen molecule into the tiny individual units that collagen's made of, and they're called amino acids. So if you imagine a collagen molecule as a string of pearls, an amino acid is 1 pearl, and that's what you can get through the body. So you eat your collagen, you eat beautiful quality fish or organic meat or lentils or whatever protein source you want, goes down your body, it gets broken down in the stomach with acids to the constituents, then further broken down in the small intestine, then it crosses through to the bloodstream as amino acids. Now, it doesn't reform as collagen on the other side. It doesn't have a memory. It doesn't say, oh, I remember I was collagen, I'm just going to go straight to the skin. Doesn't do that, okay? There are 20,000 different proteins in the human body. We've got enzymes, we've got hormones, we've got collagen. Collagen doesn't always go into the skin. It can be our tendons, it can be our ligaments. So of all those 20,000 different proteins, if you eat a collagen supplement, there's only 1 in 20,000 chances that it'll be collagen on the other side. So you're better off eating a really high quality protein, whether you're a vegan or a carnivore or an omnivore. Just get a good quality protein in your diet and ditch the collagen supplements. That's all I have to say.
I'm very pleased to say I do not have any in my pantry.
Good.
So continue to take your advice. And now to you, Rae, we know you have a million tips and tricks on how one can create a more, defined and a lifted face. And we'd love you to share your secrets with us. So I guess, what advice might you give to someone who perhaps is routines, because we know makeup routines and trends, it changes as the years goes on, but if someone's a little bit stuck, what advice would you give them so that they can adapt their routine so it serves them in a more rejuvenated look that works for them?
Really great question. And and thank you just quickly for sharing that about collagen supplements. It's something that I'm so glad that message is getting across, because I feel very strongly about the same thing. But anyway, stuck in a routine. If it's a great routine, 1, stick with it. 2, look, I think with makeup, it's really interesting, and I'm glad, I think we've kind of touched on this a little bit. Like, I'm not about anti-aging. I think we need to stop shaming women about aging, because obviously it's a great thing. We've got to start thinking about looking good, not looking young. But however, there are some makeup tricks that actually will actually make you look older, and that's what I want to help women with. So you can, as you can see with special effects makeup, there's tricks that you can make someone look 20 years older. So what I like to get across is, if you love what you do, great, but there could be things that you're doing that can actually age you and make you look older, which you don't want to do. So here's just a great, a general tip that I use. I always think whatever age you are, find someone who's of similar age, hair color, skin tone, eye color possibly, who walks the red carpet. Think more Academy Award, Cannes Film Festival, timeless, beautiful, elegant, and follow their lead. And that really is helpful. Like for me, for example, like I grew up loving Liv Tyler because she had really pale skin and dark hair, and I couldn't identify with Elle Macpherson because it wasn't me, and I didn't work for me, so it didn't help me. I hate trends. I'm the last person to talk about trends because if yellow eyeshadow comes a thing, it doesn't always, or red eyeshadow can make your eyes look tired and sore. So I think trends don't ever go there with trends. It's not, okay, sorry, I'm jumping a bit here, but no one's ever going to walk up to you. Okay, hair and clothing and accessories are very different. You can walk up to someone and go, oh my God, that's the latest Prada thing or the latest, but not many people are going to walk up to your makeup and go, oh my God, that lipstick I saw on the YSL show. Makeup's about looking the most healthiest version of yourself. So if you're in a rut, less is more. If fine lines are a concern, just take the shimmer away. But I think a really nice thing is, try and find someone in your age bracket and go, okay, would say even someone from, say, Angelina Jolie, would she go down the red carpet? Wish I could use her as my person, but would she go down the red carpet with glitter and lashes and white frosty eyeshadow and brown metallic lips? It could be a thing, but it might not serve you. So I really think, and one last thing, also just try and find a timeless look, and it's okay to stick to that forever. Something that just works beautifully on you, and then you can like change lipsticks, keep it simple, don't get too complicated. But finding someone your age is a really good inspiration to help you get excited about looks, and then find people to help you, teach you to do it if you need to.
That's amazing. And I think what you just said, a really important point, which I know you and I will touch on in the next segment, but that's why representation matters, people. For those of you who are here, if you don't see yourself represented in beauty, like for me, I could not have told you, Rae, growing up, of anyone who comes to mind that I could look to and thought like, oh, I'll mimic them, because you didn't have that representation. So it's really important. We will talk about how that sort of thing is redefining the beauty industry. But that's such a great tip, And so now I think we're going to move into our next topic, and it is all about beauty specialist recommendations. So it's about your essential products and treatments. So Terri, I'm going to start with you. Now, you know all things cosmeceuticals. What cosmeceutical ingredients can you not live without?
So when I first started formulating, I actually did start with these because these were what I considered the basics. And at the time, I realized there was not a lot in the market that a woman could turn to, which would give her that platform that almost every woman and actually every man should have in a skincare routine. So this isn't necessarily routine, but these are the essentials, and I'll go through them each. Firstly, retinoids, vitamin A. And one other misconception is people just say retinol and they think that that's the whole family of vitamin A. Retinol is one type of vitamin A. So if you imagine the world of retinoids as a giant umbrella, you've got retinol, you've got retinol palmitate, you've got retinaldehyde, you've got tretinoin, which is your prescription base. So that's just one thing I wanted to say. So in terms of the retinoid umbrella, my two favorites are retinol and hydroxypanacolone retinoate. So I know it's a mouthful, it's even a mouthful for me, but retinol is a really tricky molecule to formulate with because it's incredibly unstable. So enter the world of encapsulation. We can either encapsulate it with a liposome or with what's called a cellulose capsule, which protects it. So it goes straight to the target, it bursts its contents and goes to the cells. So I love retinol, but I'll caveat that with saying it has to be a stabilized form, okay? My absolute favorite retinoid, hands down, is HPR or hydroxypanacolone retinoate. Reason being is it's a relatively new retinoid player. It's only been around for a few years, but it produces the same results without having to go to get a prescription retinoid. And also there are potential irritational side effects with prescription. It makes your skin a bit dry and flaky. It's not dangerous, but a lot of people have to build up to tolerance, whereas with HPR, you don't have to. So I love HPR, hydroxypanacolone retinoate. If you want to look at the label on your bottle, that's the one to go for because it is the most potent form of vitamin A without having to get a prescription. If you can't tolerate that, and I that's my favorite, I use that every night. then go for your encapsulated retinols. So vitamin A, essential. That works for cell turnover. It works for fine lines. It helps with pigmentation. It is one of the only molecules that can actually reverse DNA damage from sunlight, which it blows me away. It is a staple. There is no one that shouldn't be using vitamin A unless you are pregnant or breastfeeding. And the only reason we say that is because we don't test topical vitamin A on pregnant women.
Wow.
So don't panic if you find out you're pregnant and you've been using it, but we don't recommend it. Okay. So A, the bomb. B is the one thing I can't do without, vitamin B3 or niacinamide. And I swear, if I forget it or I run out of it, I personally will panic if I run out of my vitamin B3. I love it. So that's what I also use every night. B3 is the great barrier repairer. It protects our vital barrier from the aggressors. It increases our immune system. It also works on pigmentation on another level to A. It works on all the essential skin proteins, including collagen. It is just, it's so gentle. It is a dream to formulate with. Love, 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 love niacinamide, vitamin B3, essential. The third essential, there's only 5, so bear with. The third essential is vitamin C, and that everybody needs antioxidants. And as we age, we have a sort of a credit debit system of oxidants versus antioxidants in our body. Children have way more antioxidants than they do have oxidation assault on their bodies. But as we mature, we have more assault, so we need more antioxidants in our diet and in our skincare. And vitamin C in skincare is much more effective in working on the skin than taking vitamin C as supplements. I believe in both.
Gosh,
yeah, it's really interesting. They've done studies and they've discovered that A on the skin and B on the skin and C on the skin is far more effective than taking it, because it goes everywhere it needs to. And if the skin needs some, it'll get a little bit, but the stuff we put on our face is very important. So vitamin C is a really tricky one because there are so many rubbish derivatives on the market that just don't work, that aren't stable, that don't get to the target cells, that break down. So after all my research, my decision is to stick with the basic L-ascorbic acid as pure powder and mix it with either water or a serum of your choice at the time of application. And all the studies were done on L-ascorbic acid. And that's like the basis of our understanding of it, helping with collagen production as a potent antioxidant, which we need every day with all the aggression we have from sunlight and pollution, and also for inflammation. So L-ascorbic acid is great, but if you mix L-ascorbic acid with water, it's a little bit acidic. So not everybody can handle it. And we have a lot of people out there who are quite sensitive to low pH. So then enter ascorbyl tetraisopalmitate, which is again a relatively new derivative, or I call it ATIP. It is amazing. It's incredibly stable. It has an 83% conversion to L-ascorbic acid in the deeper layers of the skin. So it's almost every bit as good as L-ascorbic acid, and it's highly active. So A, B, C, and then zinc. Can't get past your sunscreen. Don't even worry about ABC if you're not using zinc oxide as your sunscreen. And I have nothing majorly against chemical sunscreens, which are, you've got your physical, which is your zinc oxide and titanium dioxide, but you've got your chemicals, which are your organic sunscreens. There are some queries about hormone imbalances, which haven't actually been proven, but my concern with the chemical sunscreens is sensitivity. Most people are very rarely sensitive to the physical sunscreens, but there are photosensitivity to the chemical sunscreens. If I find a chemical sunscreen that ticks all the boxes for me as a cosmetic chemist, I will do it, but at this stage I haven't. And the reason I love zinc is it's the only one ingredient that blocks both UVA and UVB in one ingredient, and it's the most incredible anti-inflammatory. That's why it's been used on babies' bottoms for years. I love that. But there's one more that people might not know about, and this is something I've introduced to my routine in the last 3 years. And that's microbiome protection in the form of pre and postbiotics. And that is a game changer for me, because particularly since COVID with mask wearing and barrier disruption, I've really understood the importance of protecting the microbiome. And did you know there are more bacterial cells on and in our body than there are cells on and in our body, human cells? So sometimes you wonder whether we're the host to the microbes, or the microbes are the host to us. There's more events. That blows me away too. Anyway, so we talk about our gut all the time, and we're all really into pre and probiotics. The problem with prebiotics are great. They're the food for the good bacteria. So I always put that in. I've got a pre-elixir that I've formulated with the prebiotic in it, which is the food. But I don't believe in probiotics in skincare, because probiotics are bacteria. Every skincare ingredient needs a preservative, or else it's going to grow nasties. So the minute you put probiotic bacteria in a skincare product, the preservatives are going to kill them. So what you need is what's called postbiotics, which is the active part of the bacteria that actually produces the beneficial effects. So you're going to see a lot of this in the future of formulating. I like to think that we started the trend, well, I don't like the word trend either, Rae, to be honest, but we started the whole pre-postbiotic movement, but you're going to see a lot more postbiotic skincare than probiotic for that very reason. So in a nutshell, A, in the form of retinol or HPR, B, B3 niacinamide, C, azelascorbic acid or ATIP, and pre and postbiotics, the fourth, and zinc as your sun protection.
Can you just keep talking? Can you just keep going? Like,
I know, I was just like
all day.
You're so
Sorry, I get very passionate. I love it.
But that's amazing, and that's why you're so driven to innovate in this space and make sure that people are taking care of their skin the best they can. It's phenomenal, Terri. And so then you talked about, earlier we were just chatting about beauty representation and things like that. Let's talk a little bit about social media, and I'll turn to you, Rae. How do you think social media is redefining the beauty industry, and is it for the better? This is very hotly debated.
Yeah, okay, it is debatable. And yes and no. How I look at social media is I think about it, before social media, we used to go to a news agency to buy magazines. And this is what I explain to people who go, I hate social media. And I said, well, it depends on what magazines you buy. What do you look at? And I'm very strong about, does it spark joy? So you can find anything that's going to be controversial, toxic, upsetting, if you look for it. I'm very careful about, I look at things that only inspire me and I turn off things that don't. So I thought it was me, it's always me. Interesting, so I've written a little note here because I did a bit of research that Harvard did a study that 62% of women follow content creators, and they actually are the highest in rankings before making a purchase decision. So for inspiration, the other great thing about social media, you can, before social media, to learn a makeup trick, I used to do masterclass after masterclass, and now it's all online. You can learn anything. We were Googling before how to set up a light filter. Like, you can Google absolutely anything. The downside, everyone's an expert, which does my head in. The other problem, more for my industry, as a makeup artist, everyone's a makeup artist. And there's a very different thing about doing your own face and then working on someone. So we've actually heard, I can tell you 100 horror stories where clients have rung me where they've got an amazing influencer who's incredible, but then put her in a room with, or him or her in a room with 100 models and stress, and they all just fall apart. So there's good and bad. Is it for the better? Again, it depends what you look at. I mean, also too, there's a whole selfie obsession as well. The only thing I will say is, the only part for me that I go, is when people talk about trends. I know we're going to this again a bit later, but I hear so many of the younger generation talk about makeup trends because they see it on Instagram. I think it's a trend, and I still think there's a place where the makeup masters, trends in the fashion world do still come from the shows, the Prada, the YSL, the Versace, and then magazines and the fashion content creators go to the shows to get the trends, and the trends filter down, and then all of the Instagram artists get inspired from like 3 levels down. So I talk about this a lot. If you want to stay inspired, and if you want to, I'm talking about purely makeup here. If you want to be really good at your craft, I remember I was backstage and John Galliano, when he was still at Dior, I never forget that someone said to him, people all go to you for inspiration, as the head of Christian Dior, before he made that horrible video. Where do you go for inspiration? And he said something I've never forgotten. He said, I never reference a reference. I go straight to the source. And that was a time where the Egyptian show happened, and his whole team went to Egypt. And what I loved about that is talking about trends and social media. I always like to go, what I love to do, what inspires me, is I look at my favorite artists or fashion designers, and I look who they follow. Because, oh my God, the inspirational tunnel. So for me, I love it. It's like having a million Italian Vogues at my doorstep.
Yeah.
It can be negative, but again, it depends what you look at. And, you know, does it spark joy? If it doesn't, just shut it down.
I love that. And I guess then, you know, for everyday makeup looks, because you are all about finding something that's timeless and what works for you.
Yeah.
So how do you best prep skin for an
Yep.
everyday makeup look?
Okay, so the skin is the most important thing. I just want to say this really important tip because it was life-changing to me. Terri, I don't know if you were at this conference, but I remember one of the early conferences I went to, there was Dr. Stephen Louis and Professor Michael Caine, who invented or was pioneered facial Botoxing. This is how legendary this man is. And I was in a room full of only doctors and chemists, and a question was asked, and this will actually go back to prepping, so I promise you it's part of the question. The answer. They said to two world-leading plastic surgeons, and they said, if you could do one thing to a woman's, at the time, I only talk about women's face to make her look younger. I know I'm not about that, but let's just go with what I heard. They said, what would you do if you had one trick to make someone look younger? You can use any machine, anything, what would it be? And what they said was so powerful. They said, we would never chase the lines, we would even out the skin tone. And they got a woman up who was 70, who was from Queensland, was very sun damaged. And they had a photo of her and they retouched all the wrinkles out of her face. She did not look younger, she looked odd. In the second photo, they kept all the wrinkles and made the skin creamy and even. She looked 20 years younger.
Rae, I was there.
Yeah, do you remember? I remember going, holy shit. Because as an artist, I know, I remember this moment, and I remember as an artist going, oh, I could do that every day. That's just like evening skin tone. That's called foundation and skincare. Like, I loved it. And when they showed the images, I'm like, oh my God. So going back to that, so foundation is really important for your skin to look healthy and dewy. And I mean, and I'm not here, I don't get paid to promote any skincare, but I'm obsessed with Synergie Skin and your knowledge. And what I love about it is how fine the products are. And the reason I'm saying that, if you lay on too many products and you put foundation as your last product, the last thing you put on your face is going to come off the quickest. So it's all about having things that really, really absorb. I think putting less, don't put 17 layers underneath is really important. And prepping, just a simple thing. Eyelids are really oily. And if anyone's watching this right now, it's still not that late in the day. I want you to all feel your eyelids right now. It's actually one of the greasiest parts of your face. So if you're oily in your T-zone, your eyelids are oilier, I find, than your T-zone. So the biggest problem that we have with makeup is eyeshadow creases. So one thing I don't do, I don't put for makeup lots of moisturizer or too much on the eye because the skin's too thin. So, and look, it's always about getting your skin as good as possible, because even the more makeup you put on, sure, with a filter's great, but in natural light, we can all see it. And I think the more foundation you put on a skin, the first thing I assume is, what are you covering up? And the last thing with that, with primers, there's so many things about primers there. What I find with makeup primers, two things happen. I've done for 20 years, I've noticed this, that on 50% of people, makeup will last twice as long. On the other 50%, it makes no difference. So it is a bit of a trial and test. And also in priming world, there's also two families. There's those ones that give you that slippery feeling, which is great for smoothing the skin out. They're great if you don't want to put thick layers of foundation on, because actually makeup doesn't stick as well. It applies more evenly. So think of those more blurring primers, things that I love to use because they fill pores. If there's a dry patch, it grips onto dry patches. I love them. But there's another kind of primer which is sticky. Think more like sticky tape. And this also works in the eye primer family as well. So the sticky ones are ones when you want to build makeup on, and I don't love those. Yes, your makeup is glued to your face, but going back to the more those long-lasting foundations, I don't love them, because when they crease, they're really hard to move. And the true thing to keeping makeup looking fresh, it is reapplication. It's about applying less and adding and touching. I spend time in Paris, and I look at the French women, and they're constantly, you know, they put a full layer on and off they go. So maintenance is really important. So less is more, having amazing skin using less. Primers, I will go for more the blurring. They feel quite silicone and they actually are really beautiful. And then last thing, foundation. I think if you want coverage, the real good trick for having something last longer is buy a foundation that has more pigment or more coverage, but use less of it. So the less amount of product on the skin, the longer it lasts. That goes with everything. Lipstick, eyeshadow, one application. If you've got to do 20 layers of lipstick, too much on the mouth goes south, as I always say. It's all about getting things in one application. And you can do a test. Whenever you go test makeup, make sure your hands are oil-free. Do one wipe. I see these on social media when they're testing eyeshadows and they get their finger and they're going like 20 times and they go like that. Do you know there's ones on the swatching? Do you know? And they've normally got nails sometimes today. How do you do makeup with nails like that? Anyway, that's a talent. So they do that with makeup and they go like that and you just see that. And I'm like, you can't put eyeshadow on like that. You don't do that and then that on your eyelids. So testing makeup with how you apply it. So brush, test it with a brush. If you love using eyeshadow with a blush, go in or at the makeup counter, get a brush, light swipe onto your skin. So yeah, there's just I could go on forever. I know I don't have a lot of time. So
no, but that's good. No, but that's good. Like, that's a great tip because it's you tested how you'd wear it. So
100%.
Yeah, that's amazing. Well, thank you, Rae. And I think that's such a good tip on the long-lasting foundation as well. Those videos where you see people with lots of coverage, putting lots on. If it's good coverage, you shouldn't need that much. So
yeah,
we could talk forever on this.
And your makeup's amazing, by the way. I can't stop looking at your face.
Oh, thank you. I do wear a lot less. Just buff it all.
That's like a timeless. What you're wearing is just perfection.
Thank you. I'll take that.
I'll second that.
Okay,
beautiful.
Not about me, please.
Be classic and timeless. I'm not distracted. It's just you just.
No, but I used to. But it took trial and error to learn that in my early 20s.
Yeah, isn't it funny?
Doing all the makeup.
Yeah.
Now I'm 30. I don't want to have to wear a lot. I want to just.
Yeah.
Look at
and look, it's good to know how to do it when you want to, but it's also not. You got to also know how to like pull it back and just go like the white shirt, classic white shirt. Everyone needs that classic look, I think.
I think so too. And so then over to you, Katelin and Ella. You've interviewed so many beauty experts in your time. What has been your most memorable piece of advice?
Well, we've received a lot of memorable advice, so it's kind of hard to...
The best one. I know it's going to be hard.
And on that as well, we've had both Rae and Terri on the podcast before, and who are incredible speakers, as everyone here today would know. And I suppose what we started to notice as we interviewed all these experts that were from all different fields in the cosmetic enhancement and beauty space was that there was a key message that kept ringing true through all of these podcasts. And I love that Rae went into what she heard the plastic surgeon speak about at the conference she went to, because she actually explained that to us in the podcast she did with us. And she was our first ever podcast. So
I remember in the kitchen.
We've come a long way since then. But it was the first ever podcast that we did. And I will never forget Rae explaining that exact point, and that it was to start with the skin. And it was something that continued to be a trend through all of the podcasts, whether we were talking to a plastic surgeon or a makeup artist, or if we were talking about cosmetic injectables. The key message was start with your skin because it is your foundation and it is your base. So really look after it now and it will look after you in the future.
Love that.
And on top of that, what we also continuously were educated on was this idea of personalization. So, and this being not just with skin, but with any cosmetic treatment and in health and wellness, that you should take a personalized approach because everybody is different and they should have a different tailored approach to the treatment that they're receiving. Ella and I are two very different individuals, and you'd find that we would always be recommended different treatments in skin or even things like injectables. But I guess the biggest thing for us is whenever you are doing a treatment, that you find the right practitioner who is going to understand your concerns and understand your goals and really tailor the treatment for what you need, rather than you picking something that might not get you the best result.
Or purchasing 2 meals on sale or something like that.
Yeah.
And then I guess that might tie in, it might not. But, you know, you've recently opened your own clinic, Fayshell. What is one piece of information that you would want your future clients to know before they start their skincare treatment journey with you?
Yeah, that's a great question. With skincare, we really like to educate on that it is to be consistent. So when starting a skin journey, it's not to any quick fix. It is something that you need to treat it like going to the gym. So you need to show up regularly and do the work and really feed your skin, not only when you come to do the training, but also in your day-to-day life. So our philosophy at Fayshell is really to take that holistic approach. And when we see our clients, we really educate on the fact that we're not just going to be doing product recommendations and treatments with you. We want to take a holistic approach where we look into your gut health and what you're eating at home, your stress levels, your occupation, how much water you're drinking, and your stress levels as well, because these are things that inevitably will impact your health and wellness and really show on your skin. So it's something that when you do want to get on a skin journey, it's committing to being consistent in all aspects of your life. And it is going to take time, but if you show up regularly, you will see the results.
That's amazing. So I think if there's anything that you all take away from that last segment, it's two things. It's about, making your skincare and your treatments consistent and custom. Terri talked about the essentials and the staples, and that should be consistent in your regimen. Rae, you talked about making sure that you're tailoring your makeup routine to your skin. Katelin and Ellie, you talked about your skincare treatment. So if you could do anything, don't just follow trends blindly, because it might be popular, but it might not be what's best for you. So be consistent and customize your regimens. So this next segment is all about beauty specialist advice. It's a really quick one, but it's going to be good. It's things like how to treat your skin following, more targeted cosmetic treatments like laser or needling, IPL, fractional treatments, chemical peels. So I'll start with you, Rae, because I'm sure a lot of people have this question. I do, because I recently had a reaction after a skincare treatment, and it was like, I'm just gonna sit this one out till it heals.
Yeah.
But what are your top makeup tips for camouflaging skin irritation following something like cosmetic injectables or skin needling?
Yeah, I mean, normally I'd throw to Terri on this one, because I think it's what you put on the skin first before you put the makeup on top. It's an interesting question, because I don't like to put makeup on top of, especially when the skin's been open. Look, if it's something extreme, something that I do, there is some what they call tattoo cover makeup, which is, I'll give you two brands, Kryolan and Dermacolor. They are specialists in covering cuts, scars, surgical things. We use it on movies all the time, if someone's come in with a sore or whatever. So look, and you can also go down, I'm going to just be brutally honest here, you can go down that whole thing about green counteracts red and all this discoloration and bruising, and yes, it works in theory, but for example, if you've got, so in color theory, if you've got red skin, they do talk about green counteracts red. In old school makeup, you saw green palettes everywhere. Have you noticed they're not around anymore? Really? There's a reason, because yes, I mean, you've got to be a real color scientist to get this right, because red, there are so many different, I mean, red is a primary color, yes, but in the skin, you've got all these other tones thrown in it. So you might have 1,000 tones of red. Then you've also got 1,000 tones of green. So if you don't get the right green to the right red, you're left with two problems. One, you've over counteracted, so now you've got green skin, or you've under counteracted it. And what happens when you mix green and red, when you mix them together it neutralizes it, but it doesn't neutralize it to a skin tone. Neutral colors are beige, brown, mud, blah. So you end up with more problems. And look, also too, I think it's, look, if you're going to go, like for me, when I laser, I'm all about skin too. And I'm not ashamed to go out and have my little bit of redness. One thing I do use on set though, so this happens, like if someone, they've come from the hair team and someone's burnt them with a tong, or they've come in with a light laser. Look, you can check me, Terri, if you back this one up, but one thing that has worked for me, I want an instant relief calming situation. I do get a Avene Cyclophae cream, and I just find on set it's just one of those things that just calms everything right down. But
and Avene's major ingredient is beta glucan, and colloidal oatmeal, and they are powerful anti-inflammatory. So that's why that's working so well.
I've seen that, like I've actually seen, because I personally, thank God, haven't had this, but I have seen reactions, especially at Fashion Week with makeup. And it's just the one thing that just calms it down. So calming the skin down is really good. Be also aware that putting makeup, again, Terri, I'll throw to you. I always go to the expert on this stuff. An open wound or fresh skin, I don't know if makeup would actually slow down the healing process.
And the thing that bothers me, Rae, with an open wound is either FD&C dyes or even natural pigments, because you're basically almost tattooing the skin. If you've got
oh my God,
yeah,
100%. I have seen that,
and
I have seen that with green pigmenting. So look, I just think if you're going to have that kind of work, you've got to like choose your battles and go, you know what?
Sit for a little bit.
Sit it out, as you said, Maria, sit it out.
I'll just silicone. What do you think about, because I love them for when I had surgery, the silicone, the medical grade silicone strip pads.
Amazing. They prevent keloiding because they actually flatten the scar. The natural, a lot of people are prone, and their collagen goes a bit crazy after surgery, and it wants to build up. So silicone strips are incredible for keeping a scar.
Question, there's two types. So those gel ones, but they can fall off a bit, and there's also the tape. Is it? Oh, sorry, it's really, I really need to know this. In my kit, what brand of silicone strips do you recommend?
It's called, I think it's called Silagel.
Yeah. It's a really important thing. Like I had moles, even on acne, I've seen. Look, a great trick. I've done this.
The blister band-aids. Have you used those?
Band-aids, so good. Also band-aids. All that stuff is really good. Yeah. And another thing is I always I've done this trick myself. It's worked on shoot. I don't know how it works long term, but when I've had some really red boilish like pimples coming up, I've used not the blue ones, but the anti-red eye drops on a cotton bud, and I just soaked it, stuck it in the freezer, and just gone. And I have seen it in front of my eyes calm down. I mean, don't use it blue, but that's helped me a little bit as well. But definitely a vein sulfate is something I've just always had to make kit. But yeah, try and.
That's a beautiful way to round it off. And I think it did touch a little bit on like helping.
I do have something to say though, Maria. Sorry, can I just quickly say something? Because this is something I feel very strongly about when we do have treatments. Okay, the one thing we think about, there's so many different types of treatments. You can have a light chemical peel where you walk away and nothing happens. You can have invasive ablative, your whole epidermis is taken away for days. So we need to say, okay, what has happened to the skin? Have we had full ablation? Have we had nothing? Have we had semi-ablation? You've got to look at what the one thing is, the barrier. What has happened to your vital barrier? And I always say B is for barrier. And I'm going to be going
to ask you that. What is that one thing you should put on?
Yes, exactly. So sorry, I have to say something.
It's really important. It's essential.
Yeah. So a lot of companies and a lot who sell devices, and we're affiliated with numerous companies. And I've actually had some really robust, good discussions with some companies very recently saying, actives after you've had needling. No, I don't agree. The two things you need, actually possibly three, but if it's not too invasive, you need vitamin B3. B is for barrier. It is the only cosmeceutical that rebuilds a compromised barrier. You need to slather that stuff on after you've had a treatment, whether it's a peel or needling or laser, okay? That's the one. The other thing is feed your microbiome. You've had your barrier disrupted. Your bugs are going cray-cray. They don't know whether they're good guys or bad guys or what.
Do we do that? What cream do we use for that?
Yeah, we need to use the prebiotic food, which is inulin, which is my favorite, and the postbiotic, all the good stuff in the bacteria that calms inflammation and gets that bacteria that are already there to repopulate and be happy. Okay. So think about it as the gut microbiome is very not similar, but you've got one on your face too. So you need B and rebalancing with your pre and postbiotics. And if you are very injured, you need an occlusive. And Vaseline, there's nothing wrong with Vaseline. A lot of people say it's toxic, it's toxic. It's actually not toxic. No Vaseline on the market could be sold if it was. However, it doesn't have beneficial ingredients in it. And there are a lot of fantastic vegetable-based, very similar to Vaseline, that are occlusives with active ingredients that will gently soothe the skin, like what we're talking about, colloidal oatmeal, aloe vera, castor bean oil, which are fantastic after treatment. So niacinamide, pre and postbiotics, and possibly an occlusive. They're my three.
For you.
For me.
So I you know, we've talked a little bit about those essential ingredients for repairing your skin barrier, to move into the last segment about what's new in 2023 to boost, you know, your best, healthiest skin. Terri, you talked a little bit earlier about vitamin A, and you know, talked a lot about, you know, retinol and HPR, which was your preference. So what is the latest ingredient that's got you excited, if you could say anything, and why?
Actually, there is no latest single ingredient that's got me excited. There's a lot happening in this space. So actually watch this space for 2023 for Synergie. But one thing I did notice that there was a significant gap in the market for is there was a lot of people combining retinol with exfoliation, which is a great concept, because if we slough off the skin that's meant to slough off, the retinoids can do its job. However, a lot of formulators that don't quite get it right are using acidic products like AHAs, BHAs as your exfoliant and combining that with retinol. Now, chemically, retinol and acids don't like each other. They just don't get on in a bottle, or chemically, because the acids have a neutralizing effect on retinol. So I was thinking, how can I get this lovely exfoliation in a formula without having the acids? So I came up with a protein-based peptide that's totally non-acidic, that actually works on these things called corneodesmosomes, which are little proteins that hold the dead skin cells together. And this particular peptide, it's actually from yeast, actually dissolves that and sloughs off the skin, so the retinol can really do its thing more effectively. So it's basically an acid-free 2-in-1 exfoliant and retinoid. So that's kind of the thing that's getting me excited.
And is that what you teased? You said a little watch this space. So
yeah, no, it's coming very, 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 very soon. So no, do watch this space. I'm excited for it.
Oh, well, keep our eyes out. And then I guess, Rae, I know you talked about trends. They're not your favorite thing in the world, but is there anything in 2023 when it comes to makeup that you can exclusively share with our audience today?
Yeah, there is no trends. It's everything goes. Did you see Doja Cat front row? Like, there you go. If you want to turn up with a red glitter head, you go for it. No, look, I must say that I'm actually really happy about this, because I used to have to report on trends all the time, and I hated it, because also most of the trends were coming from shows or models that were like 18 years old, and that's, you know, very different. But absolutely no. I mean, and again, look, I don't talk about Instagram trends because they're normally filtered from inspiration from others sometimes. When I talk about trends, I talk about, like, you know, the ones that Vogue write about, or the ones that you see on shows where trends are born in the makeup world, in the fashion industry. So yeah, absolutely anything and everything goes. Makeup is a form of art. I hate that word. Oh, it's our armor. No, we don't need armor, people. Men don't put on a suit to feel like they have to wear armor. Makeup is a form of art, and you can wear, I mean, right, I'm even noticing at work now, I mean, artists are turning up with, like, I had a girl turn up with elf ears the other day. Thought, that's fabulous. That's awesome. So yeah, there's apps. I'm loving the fact that so much is more acceptable. You know, boys are wearing more makeup, girls, like, whatever. It's just anything goes. Find your tribe. Just find your tribe, people.
And it's self-expression.
And when you look in the mirror in the morning, this is the other thing. If you think, I'm rocking it today, just walk out the door.
Totally.
Don't worry about what everyone thinks.
If you want to feel lifted, put your hand in the tightest ponytail known to man. And
I love that tip, Rae. Tell us about that tip. Best tip ever.
Yeah, but it's this funny thing, because people go makeup, like, put it for confidence, and it actually makes me feel worse. And I put my makeup on something, I don't feel any better. I can hide some stuff if I want to, but again, it can be used for so many things. I think the main key message is know things that you love to accentuate. Find things that you just want to get better at. Like, liner's tricky. Like, learn how to do liner. Or if you've got hooded eyes, like, I've made a brush for, like everyone's got hooded eyes. This is like, you put like, you know, like, this is a great trick. Like, you can have the most amazing, okay, this is something that I always talk about. I'll be really quick. If you've got small-ish eyes, and so they're really lined and wrinkly, okay, we're not all teenagers here. Let's say you've got really wrinkly eyes, and you go and get the latest trend, which is green, sparkly green eyeshadow. And you put that on your small lined eyes, you now have small lined, sparkly green eyes. You haven't changed anything. So with trends, if you want to wear the green sparkle, that's great. But what I always talk about is lift and carve the shape of your face how you'd like it. If you want to be more lifted, if you've got heavy eyelids, let's remove it. Let's not highlight this part of our eyelids. It makes it puffier. Let's cut this area in half. How do we do that? The color that you always would use to contour your, not everyone should, that's another conversation. Contouring can age you, like you've got no idea. It's not for everyone. That's why you mainly see it on really young people, because it actually is very aging. So whatever that color would be, put that on a matte color on a brush like that, lift your eyelid. And the heavier your eyelid is, the heavier the skin. Only the skin that's heavy touches the brush. So what you end up doing is carving that shape back. So going back to trends, wear them. But like, okay, let's say red is a trend, but red eyeshadow makes your eyes look sore. Wear a red shirt. Sometimes colors around the eyes can make them look more tired, more sore. That's why I just don't follow trends. If your lip shape, if it's a little bit more downturned, I would be very hesitant if a trend of a really dark drawn lip, is it going to accentuate you? So I just think anything goes. Just learn your skill, know the tools that you have to do it, keep it simple, know how to make your brows look fuller, how to give your eyes more of a lifted effect, when not to contour, how to make your lips more lifted. And to make your lips more lifted, you actually move your lipstick in and you widen it here, not on the edges. Do all that, then you can throw your trends in. I think that's what I would work at. Keep it really, really simple and timeless.
And just on that note, Rae, that's brilliant. I think with skincare trends, I'm pretty anti skincare trends as well.
Yeah.
And I think innovation is a better word.
Yeah.
With
like
innovation comes in education. And I think for our clients, one of my primary focuses is, yes, I'm a cosmetic chemist by profession, but education is as important, and to empower our customers to understand why they're using their products and why. It's the why that makes you come on that journey and you do your best skin as we mature, which is the best thing ever.
Listen to the experts like you. I've written so many notes today on you.
I've been taking mental notes for some time.
But
on what you've just said, you've talked about, the why behind things. I'm going to throw it to you, Katelin and Ella, to wrap up just quickly. But, we heard LED is going to take off in 2023. Can you, for anyone who's not aware, tell them what it is and why they should look at LED therapy?
Absolutely. So we have seen, and I'm sure everyone would have seen, even a massive trend of it taking off at home, but LED stands for light emitting diode. And it's a light-based treatment, and it essentially works like photosynthesis, like your skin absorbs the light energy and turns it into cellular activity and basically just turbocharges your cells. So you can get really beautiful results in terms of like wound healing, reducing inflammation, reducing acne, improving brightness and texture. It really is the ultimate treatment. And we do it twice a week at the clinic. We like to stick to a stringent routine. And it's funny, like even if you're doing monthly treatments, as soon as you introduce the LED, you just see your skin go to the next level.
I use LED every second day.
Yeah.
Straight away. You glow straight away, instant.
Absolutely.
I need to come in and have this because I feel like a little bit of an LED noob. I think I've had it a few years ago, but I haven't been doing it regularly. So I'm going to need to come into Fayshell.
Have you looked at your skin?
You really need looked at your skin.
And that's why, but that's
you're
why
going, you don't need it. But
and that's the thing about customizing things and not following trends. I want to say thank you to all of you because, and I'm sure that our participants who are watching feel the same way. It is such a privilege to get to speak to all of you with all of your experience and your wealth of knowledge and how generously you shared so much. I just want to say thank you. And I want to thank all our talented beauty gurus and Synergie Skin for putting this incredible event together. So thank you all for joining. You can follow everybody on socials and follow the Synergie Skin Instagram. They've tagged everyone. We appreciate your time and we hope you enjoyed this event. Let us know what you thought on socials, okay? If you are somebody that wants to know how to look after your skin over the course of its life as it continues to evolve, or maybe you have specific skin conditions, like with me, I used to have hormonal acne, I literally have the book that you need to read. This is Skin Formation. It is a book by founder of Synergie Skin. She's a skin scientist, Terri Vinson, and it is literally your guide to clean science and having healthy, beautiful skin. So it's got everything in it in terms of understanding product queries, Do you use a serum? Do you use a moisturizer? It literally goes into depth when talking about managing skin conditions like rosacea, acne. What level of scarring do you have? I, for one, was really surprised learning about all the different comedogenic oils that are present in so much skincare, which triggers my skin. You know, lifestyle, nutrition tips. If you want something that's going to help you look after your skin as it's evolving and maturing, I really think this book is it.